Welcome back to Tommy Boy DIY. Today we're talking tools. I have all these tools laid out that we're going to be using most of these in the next couple projects, so I just wanted to give everybody a rundown on what each tool does and the basics on it. I'm sure most people are familiar with tape measures. There's a lot of different kinds. This one happens to be a nicer one, it's a wider. This one happens to be a skinnier one, which is your basic one. Both of these are 25 foot long, almost an inch wide. I think this one might be like an inch and a quarter wide. I prefer the nicer ones, the bigger ones. I usually have a couple of these around just to have around in case I need an extra one laying around. What this has, I don't know if anybody's familiar, but if you ever wondered why the end of these actually move, it's to make up for the difference of this thickness. So if you're pulling and measuring like that, then it actually adjusts out to give you the perfect measurement, where if you're pushing on something, it pushes in, so you're actually measuring on the outside of here. So if anybody ever wondered why that's loose, that's why. Okay. So that's the basics of these. We'll be using these for all our measuring. Sometimes I actually have a hard 3-foot tape measure, or yardstick they would call it. I use this a lot too because it's real nice and accurate when you don't have to use that. So it's a nice thing to have. What we have here is a carpenter's square. Okay, this is a larger one, and then there's a smaller version. They come in all different sizes. These are metal. I believe you can get them in aluminum too. Might be a little more expensive, but a little lighter. What these are for is measuring angles, obviously 90-degree angles, and then drawing lines. I've got some wood here. So if you imagine you put this on here, you do it like this, it makes a nice straight edge. You can draw a line down here with a pencil. Gives you a nice straight edge. Usually what I do for those is the carpenter's speed square, because that actually sits right on the edge like that. So this is actually a nicer tool. This is more for, like I said, for doing 90 degrees if you're trying to make sure something's square. That's why you get bigger ones and smaller ones, depending on how big the spaces you're working with or the pieces you're working with. But these speed squares are real nice. They come in plastic, aluminum, steel. There's all different kinds. I won't get into the specifics, but there's different angle measurements, and usually most of these have a ruler built into them too, so you can use them for measuring too. Up to, like, obviously this one's 7 inches, so you can get up to 7 inches on those. Levels. 2-foot level is probably one of the biggest things that you'll need. In the upcoming videos, I'll be doing a video on a person asked me, a couple people have asked me to do hanging pictures and curtain rods and stuff like that, so I'm going to do a video on that. This comes in really handy when we're hanging pictures, because you can level off the picture frame and level off the holes. If you need to do double holes for a picture frame or something like that, you're going to need this. I'll link everything at the bottom in the description, so if you want to order them off Amazon or go to your local Home Depot or something like that, you can grab those. These come in different sizes, obviously. This is a 2-footer, this is a 4-footer. There's smaller versions too, which can be real convenient for smaller projects. Safety glasses, obviously. We'll use these today because I'm going to show you how to put these screws in. Now we'll go over different kinds of screws. I'll put a picture up on the screen of these screws. But you have a lag bolt, a square head screw or a hex head screw, which some people like to use. This is actually a concrete screw. These are the square head screws, and then we have Torx head screws, and then obviously the old Phillips head screws. These still come in handy if you're not doing something that's very torquey. If you want to put a torquey screw in, everybody leans towards doing the Torx ones in the square head now because they get a little bit more from getting stripped out. There's always been a problem with screws when you have longer screws that they tend to strip out when they're Phillips head, just from the torque of trying to get them all the way into the wood. So they've kind of been going away from that. So those are the basics as far as those hand tools. As far as power tools go, I happen to have a rigid kit that I've had for quite a few years now that I purchased at Home Depot. There's so many different kits you can buy. I happen to buy what is an impact driver and a hammer drill kit. It comes with the charger, 2 batteries, the 2 drills, and then I actually purchased a Sawzall later on too. It's one of the other tools I tend to use a lot. With the kits, you'll end up having to buy most of them don't come with bits, or they come with just 1 bit, so you'll probably have to buy a separate bit set. These are just various bit sets. This is a Ryobi one I purchased. This is a DeWalt one I purchased. They just come with various bits to put in these drills and drivers. They're not much. They're usually $10 to $20 for a decent kit. but it's something you'll need because it has all different bits inside of it for all different. There's square head bits in here. There's Phillips head. There's some nut drivers. So you have all different kinds of options there with those, which come in really handy when you're using these. So if you're not familiar with power tools, this one happens to be a hammer drill. The only difference between this and a normal drill is obviously the hammer, which you use for going through masonry, concrete. The way it works is that these bits here are actually hammer bits. They're very durable steel bits. And what happens is you put these in here, and instead of actually, it drills, but then at the same time it's actually pounding. So what happens is it makes it easier to go through the concrete and the masonry. Most of you probably won't need that unless you're trying to do something into, concrete ground or into a concrete wall. Most of the time you can get away with just a drill driver kit and not have to worry about the hammer drill, but it's just another option if you guys want it, you know what I mean. I think this kit is about $200 at Home Depot right now. But it comes in really handy. I love it. I've had it for like 3 or 4 years now. It gives you a battery charging on the front of the batteries, which is really nice to have. There's also a flashlight built in, and this one has a normal screw bit, and this is a DeWalt screw bit. So this actually is really nice. They sell these in different lengths and everything. It comes in 2 different speeds depending on what you're working on, and it's great. It's great for screwing and everything. It's a little on the heavy side. You can buy lighter ones, but this one happens to be a little bit heavier. This impact driver, you don't technically need it. It does come in handy for longer screws or hex head bolts, lag bolts, stuff like that, because it does kind of torque it in really nice. So it does come in handy. And like this drill driver on its own is about $100. If you buy the kit, I think DeWalt makes a kit, I'll link it in the description below, that comes with the drill driver without the hammer drill and an impact driver for $150 as opposed to just $100 for this. So it's almost worth the $50. Then you're getting another battery too on top of it, because usually they come with 2 batteries. It's just a nice tool to have if you're doing a lot of hammer, or not hammer drilling, but impact drilling. So what I have, just to give you a preview for the next project, I have 2 pieces of wood, 2x4s. And I have some screws, and these are the screws I used for the shelving project, and we'll get into that in one of the next videos. But these screws are great. They're actually like a self-drilling screw, and they have a Torx head, which is personally one of my favorites for doing putting these wood 2x4s together, because the 2x4s tend to split. So that makes it, now these, depending on what screws you buy, they actually usually come with a bit. Most of them do if you buy a certain quantity of them. This one tends to come with the Torx bit that fits the screw perfectly, so it actually goes right in there like that. So what I like to do, and you'll see it in the next project, is I like to pre-drill right into here, and the easiest way to do that is to, first of all, put on your safety glasses, because you never want kickback in your face. And what I like to do is I just like to set it on here like this, and I just go real slow just to start it in here. And then once I get in a little bit, then it's all set to go. And I'll do a couple of those, like so. And I'll show you more of that in the next video. But you want them to be, the 2x4 is obviously 1.5 inches wide, thickness-wise, and then it's 3.5 inches this way. So when you put these screws in, you're going to want them to be about halfway up, so like 3/4 of an inch in. Because too close to the edge, you'll end up splitting the edge of the wood, which is why I like to use these screws. So for most of the stuff we do in the next project, we're going to do it like this. We're going to screw in 2 screws at each end of these pieces. And what I like to do is get them screwed in like that, so it makes it a lot easier. So when you set it up like this, you're already screwed in there. Once you're on a flat surface, it'll be nice and level, and you literally just finish it off by screwing it in just like that. And then you would screw both of those in like that, and then they're nice and flush like that. So these are nice. They don't split the 2x4 because they drill in at the same time. So that's pretty much it for the basics. We'll go through making these shelving in one of the next projects. I also, like I said, I got a couple people that asked me to do some, give them a rundown on how to hang stuff on the walls, as far as drilling holes and how to measure out and level and all that stuff. And I'll show you a couple tips and tricks on how to put curtain rods up and if you want to do window shades and stuff along those lines. And then we'll get into that in the next video. I also have another video that'll be coming up soon. Someone contacted me. They need someone I know needs a hot water tank put in. So if anybody's interested in how to put in a hot water tank, I'm going to do a video on that upcoming. That'll be a good video. I'll try to get in a couple different ways and a couple different tips and tricks on how to do the hot water tank. It's really not that hard, and I'll show you how to do it yourself. So if you want any of this stuff, if you're interested in any of these tools or any of these basic tools, I'll link a few of them in the description below. You can go on Amazon and grab them. They're pretty much inexpensive. I think the speed squares are about $6 or $7. Carpenter squares about the same. The levels are a little bit more. They're in the $20 range. Like I said, these bit kits, I'll see if I can find them online. And I don't know if I can find the Ridgid online, but I'll just link the DeWalt, which is a nice kit. I found that on Amazon, so we'll go through that. And I'll put it all in there. But that's about it for now. Until next video, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notifications for all these next couple videos I got coming up that I just told you about. And if you have any comments, any questions, hit me up in the comments section or at my email or Instagram, Twitter, whatever you prefer. And I'll have everything linked below, okay? I'll see you in the next video.